Hello, my friends. I'm gonna show you an overview about what we'll learn through this section. We will start by downloading and installing Android Studio with SDK configuration. Then we will move to emulator configuration, downloading and configuring the AVD Android virtual devices, enabling virtualization technology in your PC. Then we will move to running your first app, testing your app on real devices and emulator. Then we will see how Android works. So we will get an overview about the compile, package, deploy, run processes in Android. Hello, my friends, and welcome back. In this video, we'll learn how to download and install Android Studio with the latest SDK. Go to Android official website, developer.android.com/studio, and click on this button, download Android Studio Flamingo. And Flamingo is the latest version of Android Studio till the time of recording this video. Download Android Studio, and it's about 1 GB. Click on Start Download. Also, you can get the different versions of Android Studio with the different platforms. For example, here for the Windows, this is for Mac, and this is for Linux, and you can see the Chrome OS. So Android Studio is the official integrated development environment, the IDE, for Android app development. Android Studio offers even more features to enhance your productivity when building Android applications, and you can learn about these features on this website. Also, we'll use these powerful features when developing our applications, and we'll see them clearly later. Once the download is finished, click on it and run the installer. And here is the menu of the installer and the setup. Click Next, select Android Virtual Device and make sure to tick it. And next, install. And wait for Android Studio to finish installing. Then click Next and start Android Studio. Then you'll get this screen telling you that you have missed the SDK and no SDK found. Click Next and you will install the SDK, the Android SDK. So click Next, Next, Accept, and Finish. The Android SDK is a collection of software development tools and libraries required to develop Android applications. Every time Google releases a new version of Android or an update, a corresponding SDK is also released, which developers must download and install. It's worth noting that you can also download and use the Android SDK independently of Android Studio. But typically, you will be working through Android Studio for the Android development. Then click on Finish. And here we go. This is our Android Studio UI. So the Android SDK comprises all the tools necessary to code programs from scratch and even test them. For that, we can create a new project, open, get from VCS, which is version control, and click more options. You can see Virtual Device Manager, SDK Manager, and so on. We are interested in the SDK Manager. Click on it. You can access here the SDK Manager, and you can download the latest SDK platforms and SDK tools. So you can select here the SDK tools and always download the latest SDK tools. You can see the update available, you will get notified, and the Android emulator, the Android SDK platform tools. These are very important and you should download them and update them regularly. Always use and download the latest stable Android versions. My advice to you is not to download the preview from here or here. You can download the latest Android stable versions. Okay, so here you can update and install the latest SDKs and the SDK build tools. Click OK and accept, and then next. These build tools provide a smooth flow of development process from the developing and debugging through the packaging. So once you download and install the SDK, click Finish, click OK, and here we go. Now we are ready to start developing our Android applications using this amazing IDE. Hello, my friends. In this video, I'm going to show you how to set up the emulator in your Android Studio. I will click on More Actions, click on Virtual Device Manager, and here we can create a virtual device. You can either click on this button or click on this blue text. Click on the Create Device. If you don't have an Android device on hand, or it doesn't have the right version of Android, you can run the app on a virtual device instead. Running the app on a virtual device is useful if you want to see how the app looks on a type of device you don't own, or test how it behaves on different versions of Android. The Android SDK features a built-in emulator that you can use to set up one or more Android virtual devices, AVDs. Once you've set up an AVD, you can run the app on it as though it's running on a physical device. The AVD Manager in Android Studio allows you to set up a new AVD, a new emulator. Okay, so if you have no AVDs set up already, you will be presented by this screen. Okay, if you have already created an emulator, it will be displayed here. But till now, we have no virtual devices. I will click on this button to create an AVD. On this screen, you will be prompted to choose a device definition. This is the type of device your AVD will emulate. So you see, guys, these are many phones, many types of phones, and these are produced by Google. You can choose the category TV, phone, Wear OS, tablet, automotive, but we will choose the phone because we are interested in phones and tablets. We're gonna see what the app looks like running on Pixel 6. So I'm going to choose Pixel 6. You can choose the Pixel 5, which is 6 inches, or I can choose Nexus 6 because it's similar to my real device. I will click on Next, and here we have to select a system image. You need to select a system image. This specifies which version of Android you want to be on the AVD. You need to choose a version of Android that's compatible with the app you're building. It must be at least the minimum SDK that the app supports. But till now, I prefer using the latest versions of Android. So I will click on Android here. Okay. I will click on this and accept the license agreement. After the download and install processes finished, click on Finish. And here we are, wait for refreshing. And then we select this. And we are good. So we downloaded the API or the system image. Now we click on Next. Here we need to verify the configurations. In this screen, you'll be asked to verify the configuration. This screen summarizes the options you choose over the last few screens and gives you the option of changing them and accepting the options and clicking on Finish button. You can name your AVD name your device whatever you want. You can change the density pixels, the Nexus 6, which is the device. You can change the Android system image. Also, you can see what are and set up the startup orientation, portrait or landscape. Set the initial orientation of the device during the AVD emulation. You can also rotate the device screen. Later on, we'll see it. Also, the emulated performance, automatic hardware. We prefer automatic. Also, you can show advanced options, and here I prefer not to edit them. Okay, so we will name it as Nexus 6 API 33. Click on Finish, and congratulations, you have created the first emulator. And now we can run, edit, and see some options like duplicate, wipe data, cold boot now, show on disk, view details, and delete. Later on, we will change some settings for this device, but now we are clear to run it. So I will launch the emulator, and this is the screen waiting for booting. One of the questions that may be encountered or wondering, do I need to create a new AVD each time I create a new app? No. Once you've created the AVD, you can use it to run any app that can run that version of Android. Okay, and here we go. Congratulations, guys. We have created our very first emulator. Hey, my friends, welcome back. In this video, we're gonna learn how to create projects in Android Studio. Open Android Studio, and the first step in the application development process is to create a new project within the Android Studio environment. You will get this welcome screen. To the left, we have this panel, the projects, customize, plugins, and learn Android Studio. If we click on the projects, we get this screen. We have new project, open projects, and get from VCS, the version controls, and this is for the GitHub. Later on, we'll talk about it. And we have more actions, and we talked about these when we deal with the SDK manager, with the virtual device manager, and so on. Okay, if you need to update the SDK, if you need to update your device manager, you can update them from here and customize your AVD. The customize, if we click on customize, we'll get this panel. We have the color scheme. You can switch from the drag glove. You can select the white, IntelliJ light, high contrast, and you can download other themes. Also, you can select the IDE font. You'll get, for example, 16, 24, and so on. Okay, so this is the font of the Android Studio. Now, if we get to the plugins later on, we will see these plugins in many details, and we will use many of them later on in the next and in the complex projects. But till now, you don't need to install any plugins. Also, you'll get the Learn Android Studio. These are helpful and good resources to learn Android Studio in with the official website of Android Studio. Now, let's go back to the projects. Click New Project, and you will get this new panel. Options are available to create projects for phone, tablet, Wear OS, TV, Android Audio, or Android Things. So you can select to the left, Wear OS, Android TV, automotive, phone and tablet. But we are interested in this course at creating applications to the phone and tablet. Okay, So you can see a lot of things we can use. No activity, empty activity, but this is a Jetpack Compose. You can see this is the logo of Jetpack Compose. And in the next sections and in a standalone course, I will describe this in very detailed manner. So Jetpack Compose is different from empty activity. This course will use the XML, and also in the later stages we'll use the Jetpack Compose. Jetpack Compose, there is no XML layouts, but the views, we need to define the XML layouts by ourselves. Till now, I don't need to create a project with the empty activity of Jetpack Compose. I'll use the empty views activity. So always start with the empty views activity. Also, you can see a lot of things you can make with the game activity, C++, native CS++, the button navigation views, and these other views. But till now, we are interested in the empty views activities. And the views refers for the XML. And this is the logo of Jetpack Compose. Don't be confused with these two, empty activity and empty views activity. Always select empty views activities. And later on, when we talk about the Jetpack Compose, we will see how to create Jetpack Compose projects. Select next, and here we need to specify the name of the application. I'll name it as first app. The package name, you can name it whatever you want. I'll name it as master coding, com.mastercoding.first application. The save location, you can select the save location of our projects. And here, the language, you can select both Java and Kotlin. And later on, in the next updates of Android Studio, some articles and some websites are telling us that the Kotlin will be the only language for this Android Studio application development. But till now we have both Java and Kotlin, and don't worry, I'll keep you updated with everything, and whenever we have any change, I'll change the course according and update it respectively. So don't worry, just follow my tutorials. I can select Java or Kotlin. I can select the minimum SDK, and here this is the minimum SDK. I can select, this is the API 24. Once the Android is keep updating, some other devices and some old devices can't run the new APIs. So I advise you to keep it as default, API 24, because you will cover 94.4% of the devices. And this is good. Okay, so you keep the minimum SDK as it. Click finish, and let's keep Android Studio to work and finish here the Gradle and other background threads and the processes. And here we go. This is our project in Android Studio. We will clarify everything, the structure of this UI, the user interface of the Android Studio in the next videos. But now we are interested in creating and running the first application. Here we select the virtual device that we have created before, and we click on this green triangle, run the application. And here we go. Congratulations, guys. We created the first $1 billion application. Just kidding. This is your first application. Congratulations. Now let's start the app development. You may wondering what happens when you use the run command and how the Android system runs the application. In this video, I'm gonna show you what are the steps that Android Studio use and follows in order to create an APK file, and that will be installed on the real device or the emulator and other devices. So let's see what happens when you use the run command. First step, it would be compiled. So the Java or Kotlin source files get compiled to bytecodes. Then APK creation, which is an Android application package or APK file, gets created. The APK file includes the compiled Kotlin files or Java files, along with any libraries and resources needed by the app. Resources means strings, drawables, images, videos, and others. Libraries, we'll see the external libraries, for example, the Glide library, which is used for displaying images faster, the Retrofit library, fetching data from internet and from the API. So we will use many libraries in building our projects later on. Till now, I want from you to understand that the first step is compile. The Kotlin Java source code will be compiled to bytecode. Then we create an APK file from the libraries, resources, and the bytecode. We mix them. And then the Android Studio will install the APK. If the device is virtual, Android Studio launches the emulator and waits until the AVD is active before installing the APK. If the device is physical, it just installs the APK. Then it will start the device with the main activity. So the last step is starting the device. The app is displayed on the device screen and it's all ready for you to play with. So these are the steps that Android Studio follows when you hit the run command. Let's see what happens when you run the application. So the emulator or the physical device get installed the APK or the application. Now what happens? Installing the app. Android Studio installs the app on the device. If the device is virtual, it waits for the emulator to start before installing the app. Then we start the main activity. Android starts the app's main activity. It uses the code in main-activity.kt, which is for Kotlin, or the main-activity.java, which is for Java version, if you are coding in Java or Kotlin, which Android Studio automatically included in the project to create a main activity object. Later on, we will see how to define the main activity, the launching activity in the manifest. So don't worry. Specifying the layout. Main activity specifies that it uses the layout activity underscore main.xml. .xml means which is a layout file that it will be used to display widgets, containers, and other view groups and views. So here we specify the layout which is used to display things, display the widgets, display the groups and the view groups and the view elements for the user. Then displaying the layout, the text "Hello World" appears in the center of the screen, is representing a view which extends from view group and is displayed inside this layout. So these are the steps when you run the application. It will be installed, it will start the main activity, it specify the layout, then display the layout.